Darkness gives way to the harsh glow of emergency lights as Captain Ilara Chen gasps awake, her cryopod hissing open after centuries of silence. The ship's coldness seeps into her bones as NAXUS, the vessel's AI, delivers the devastating news through flickering holograms. 500 years have passed, not the intended 50, and humanity has been systematically exterminated. Earth is gone. The colonies are ash. The vibrant, chaotic species that once reached for the stars has been carefully erased from existence by the Concordiate, a coalition of advanced alien civilizations that deemed humanity too unpredictable to live. Vital signs stabilizing. Cognitive functions at 87% capacity and rising. Welcome back, Captain Chen, NAXUS announces, its synthesized voice echoing in the vast, empty cryobay. Ilara's fingers tremble as she disconnects the monitoring equipment from her body. Her muscles scream in protest after centuries of disuse, despite the regenerative compounds flooding her system. NAXUS, status report. Where are we? Where is the rest of the crew? The AI hesitates, a millisecond pause that speaks volumes. The Artemis is currently in uncharted space, approximately 347 light-years from Earth. As for the crew, you are the only one who survived, Captain. Ilara stumbles from the pod, catching herself against a nearby console. The ship's artificial gravity feels too heavy, too real after the weightless void of cryosleep. On trembling legs, she makes her way to the nearest viewport. Unfamiliar stars stare back at her, constellations no human has ever named. "Show me Earth," she commands, her voice hoarse from centuries of silence. "I cannot comply with that request." NAXUS responds, "Earth is no longer accessible." "Explain," Ilara demands, though part of her already understands the terrible truth. The command center illuminates as Ilara enters, holographic displays springing to life around her. NAXUS projects a timeline, a history Ilara was never meant to witness. She watches in horror as Earth's final days unfold before her. Massive alien vessels descending through the atmosphere, methodical destruction of major cities, systematic elimination of human outposts across the solar system. The Concordiate arrived 27 years after the Artemis departed. NAXUS explains, their technology was centuries beyond Earth's defensive capabilities. Humanity fought for 11 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days before the last verified human transmission was received from Europa base. Ilara sinks into the captain's chair, designed for a person who existed 5 centuries ago. Why? What possible threat could we have posed? Instead of answering directly, NAXUS illuminates the central holotype. A complex neural map appears, human brain pathways compared to those of various alien species. This was the classified secondary mission of the Artemis Captain Chen. Your neural structure, humanity's neural structure, was unique in the galaxy. Unpredictable. Innovative in ways that threatened the Concordiate's established order. The reality of her situation crashes down on Ilara, not just captain of a ship, but the last repository of her species. The final human in a galaxy that had systematically erased her kind. The Artemis was believed destroyed in the conflict. NAXUS continues. In reality, emergency protocols activated when our communications array detected the first attacks. The ship sustained heavy damage evading Concordiate forces, but managed to reach the edge of known space before primary systems failed. I've spent centuries effecting repairs, drifting through the void, and maintaining your cryostasis until minimum survival requirements could be met. The sprawling Proxima station rotates against a backdrop of nebula clouds, its gleaming spires home to thousands of alien species who never question the conspicuous absence of humans among them. Beneath the holographic disguise of a Cerulean trader, Ilara's heart pounds as she navigates crowded market corridors where merchandise from 100 worlds changes hands. Every alien face, every unknown custom is both wondrous and terrifying. These are the inheritors of a galaxy where her kind was deemed unworthy to exist. Posture adjustment recommended. NEXUS whispers through her subdermal communicator. Ceruleans maintain a 40-degree spinal curve when browsing merchandise. Ilara subtly shifts her stance, forcing her spine into an uncomfortable arch as a patrol of Concordiate security drones hovers past. The holographic overlay covering her human features flickers momentarily, a glitch in the hastily assembled disguise technology that NEXUS had fabricated from the Artemis**'s limited resources. The market teems with life forms beyond anything humanity had encountered during its brief venture into deep space. Eight-limbed merchants haggle with customers whose bodies phase in and out of visible light. Floating jellyfish-like beings communicate through pulses of bioluminescence. In another era, Ilara would have marveled at this cosmic tapestry of evolution. Now she can only see each species as potential enemies, inheritors of a galaxy built upon humanity's ashes. The information broker's establishment should be in the next sector. NEXUS guides her. Concordiate historical archives are heavily restricted, but black market data dealers operate on most commercial hubs. Ilara navigates toward the station's outer ring, where regulation enforcement grows lax and lighting dims to accommodate species with sensitive visual organs. The thrumming bass of alien music vibrates through her boots as she approaches a cantina with an entrance shrouded in vapor designed to obscure the identities of those entering and exiting. Inside, the air hangs thick with smoke from various intoxicants, the mingled scents both alluring and nauseating to her human biology. Species from across the galaxy cluster around tables, engaged in everything from sophisticated gambling to furtive information exchanges. Ilara slides into a booth in the darkest corner, ordering a non-toxic beverage with the carefully practiced clicks and whistles of cerulean speech. As she waits, her enhanced hearing, courtesy of NEXUS's neural interface, picks up fragments of conversations, trade disputes, smuggling routes, border skirmishes between Concordiate members, but not once does she hear the word human or Earth mentioned. It's as if her entire species has been so thoroughly excised from galactic memory that not even underworld figures speak of them. "Your gate is wrong," the voice whispers suddenly, mandibles clicking near her ear. No cerulean moves with such individualistic purpose. Ilara freezes, her hand instinctively reaching for the concealed pulse weapon beneath her cloak. Sliding into the seat across from her is a 7-foot avian being with iridescent feathers and eyes that reflect light like polished obsidian. A Voraxian, according to the species identification NEXUS rapidly provides through her neural link. The intricate metal bands around his neck mark him as an academic, though several are cracked, the Concordiate's universal symbol for censured knowledge. "I mean you no harm," the Voraxian continues, his voice barely audible above the cantina's noise. "But your holographic emitter needs recalibration. The light diffraction at your edges is all wrong. Fortunate that most here lack the specialized vision or training to notice." Instead of denying the accusation or fleeing, Ilara maintains her disguise's voice pattern. "You mistake me, academic. Perhaps your specialized vision requires adjustment." The Voraxian's feathers ripple in what NEXUS identifies as their equivalent of amusement. "I am Zekar, formerly principal xenorchaeologist at the Concordiate Academy of Historical Studies. Currently unemployed, due to certain disagreements about which histories deserve preservation." He leans forward, eyes darting to ensure no others listen. "Tell me, traveler, how does a species erased from official record 5 centuries ago suddenly reappear on a Concordiate trade hub?" The asteroid spins slowly in the darkness between stars, indistinguishable from millions of others except for the microscopic gravitational anomalies that shield it from sensors. Inside its hollowed-out chambers, Ilara stands speechless before the impossible. Humans, or at least beings close enough to be recognized as her kin. Children with slightly elongated pupils play among gardens growing under artificial sunlight. Adults with subtle ridges along their jawlines, or unusual skin tones, work alongside aliens from species she's never encountered. They're not exactly human, Zekar explains softly, his feathers rustling in the artificial breeze that circulates through the asteroid's internal atmosphere. 5 centuries of adaptation and interspecies reproduction have changed them, but the core genetic material remains. Ilara watches a young girl with violet-tinged skin chase laughing companions through hydroponic gardens. Her movements, her laughter, unmistakably human despite the alien features. A tightness grips Ilara's chest, equal parts hope and grief. Not alone, yet forever separated from what humanity once was. How? She manages finally. The Concordia was thorough. Nexus showed me the records. Earth, Mars, Europa, every colony. A woman approaches, her stride confident despite the gravity adjustments. Her features are predominantly human, though her eyes reflect light like a cat's, and faint scale patterns shimmer across her temples when she turns her head. The official records are incomplete by design, the woman says, extending her hand in a gesture Ilara hadn't expected to experience again. I'm Soria. My great-great-grandmother escaped aboard a Voltraxian research vessel. Not every species in the Concordiat agreed with the extermination order. Ilara takes the offered hand, the simple human contact nearly overwhelming after her isolation. Captain Ilara Chen, Earth Defense Force. Artemis Expedition. Murmurs ripple through the gathered crowd. An older man steps forward, his skin bearing luminescent patterns that pulse with his heartbeat. The colony Ark. We thought it destroyed in the initial purge. It nearly was, Ilara confirms. Next, the U.S. engaged emergency protocols, sustained damage, and drifted in deep space for centuries while conducting repairs and maintaining microstasis. Soria gestures for Ilara to follow. We call ourselves the Remnant. Not pure human anymore. We couldn't survive without genetic adaptations after so many generations, but we've kept the essence alive. They walk through tunnels carved into the asteroid's interior, passing workshops where humans with various adaptations work alongside alien allies. Some nod respectfully as Ilara passes, others regard her with suspicion or wonder. How many survived? Ilara asks. Initially, perhaps 10,000 scattered across the galaxy, hidden by sympathetic members of various species, Soria explains. Now, our population across 17 hidden settlements is approximately 300,000, though genetic drift means only about 60% retain predominantly human characteristics. They enter a chamber lined with salvaged human artifacts, Renaissance paintings alongside family photos, Olympic medals next to handwritten cookbooks. In the center stands a circular table projecting holographic data. This is why we've been searching for you, Captain, Soria says, activating the display. Above the table, neural scans of human brains illuminate alongside Concordiat communication networks, because we finally understand why humanity was targeted for extinction. Ilara studies the projection, her enhanced mind processing the complex data patterns. These are psychic network protocols, but humans aren't psychic. Precisely, interjects an elderly alien stepping from the shadows, his crystalline body structure unlike any species Ilara has encountered. I am Thelos, former Concordiat neural network architect before my resignation. The Concordiat's foundation is its psychic network, linking the consciousness of all member species for communication, coordination, and control. Red dust swirls across the desolate Martian landscape as Ilara's expedition team cuts through the sealed doors of a facility buried beneath Olympus Mons. The massive volcano looms above them, nature's monument to a dead world. Inside, preserved by the planet's cold emptiness, lies humanity's last great achievement, a neural interface technology developed in the final days before Earth's fall. Atmosphere stabilizing, reports Cleo, a remnant technician whose blue-tinged skin and extra finger joints betray her partial Moravian heritage. Residual power systems at 12% capacity. enough to access the main databases if they're intact. Ilara adjusts her expedition suit, the material hugging her form like a second skin. The Remnant's technology is a strange hybrid of salvaged human innovations and borrowed alien advancements. Like their genetics, their tools bear witness to adaptation and survival against impossible odds. Security protocols disengage. NEXUS announces through their shared communication system. 5 centuries of dormancy have degraded the facility's defenses. The heavy doors grind open, revealing a corridor untouched since humanity's last days. Emergency lighting flickers to life, casting long shadows across walls bearing the faded insignia of the United Earth Neural Sciences Division. Stay alert, Ilara cautions the team, which includes 6 Remnant members and Zekar, whose archaeological expertise has proven invaluable in interpreting the ruins of human civilization. Mars was heavily bombarded during the Purge. There could be structural instabilities. They advance through the complex, boots leaving fresh prints in dust untouched for centuries. Laboratories filled with equipment beyond even Ilara's understanding line the corridors. In one room, holographic displays flicker to life as power returns to systems dormant for half a millennium. This facility wasn't in any official records, Zekar notes, his avian eyes scanning the ancient equipment. Even the most classified Concordiate archives make no mention of advanced neural research on Mars, because they didn't know it existed. Ilara replies, studying a diagram that appears as they enter what must have been the central research chamber. Look at the establishment date, 3 months after the first Concordiate ships were detected entering the solar system. This was humanity's contingency plan. The chamber expands before them, its circular design centered around a series of suspended animation pods. Each contains a delicate web of quantum circuitry, neural enhancement devices designed to interface directly with the human brain. They knew, Ilara whispers, approaching one of the pods. Somehow, they understood what made us dangerous to the Concordiate, and instead of changing to become less threatening, they developed ways to become more of what they naturally were. Zekar finishes, reverence in his alien voice. Soria's voice crackles over the comm system from their ship in orbit. Ilara, we're detecting energy fluctuations in your vicinity. Something's powering up. As if responding to her words, the central interface station illuminates, bathing the chamber in soft blue light. A holographic projection materializes. A woman in a lab coat, her expression grave yet determined. Neural archive activated. If you're viewing this message, you represent humanity's last hope. The hologram looks directly at Ilara, an eerie coincidence that sends chills through her body. I am Dr. Imani Okafor, lead researcher for Project Prometheus. What I'm about to share was deemed too dangerous to record in any networked system. The hologram gestures, and the room transforms into an immersive data environment. Stars and neural patterns intertwine around them in a breathtaking display. The Concordiate isn't what it claims to be. Dr. Okafor's projection continues. Their psychic network isn't merely communication technology, it's control. Species integration requires neural modification that subtly limits cognitive patterns, creating predictable thought structures that can be monitored and influenced. Pain like nothing Ilara has ever experienced courses through her body as the neural interface integrates with her nervous system. Strapped to a medical bed aboard the Artemis *, she screams until her voice gives out, then screams silently as the technology rewrites pathways in her brain. NEXUS monitors her vitals, its voice strangely emotional as it guides her through the transformation. Neural pathway reconfiguration at 63%. NEXUS reports, its normally calm tone edged with concern. Your mind is fighting the integration, Captain. You must surrender to the process. Ilara's body arches against the restraints, sweat soaking through the medical gown as the Martian neural interface, salvaged at tremendous cost from the facility, rewires her consciousness. The escape from Mars had been narrow, the Concordiate forces arriving just as they were extracting the most crucial components. Zekar had created a diversion, drawing the Concordiat troops away. His capture haunts her even through the haze of pain. Your neural architecture is reconfiguring in ways the original designers never anticipated. NetXUS explains as Ilara's consciousness expands beyond the confines of her skull. You're evolving beyond baseline human capability. A moment of clarity breaks through the agony as neural pathways that never existed before suddenly complete their connections. Ilara gasps, her eyes flying open to perceive the room in wavelengths beyond normal human vision. The walls of the Artemis seem transparent, allowing her to sense the energy signatures of the ship's systems humming around her. "What's happening to me?" she manages, her voice hoarse from screaming. The interface was designed to amplify humanity's natural neural patterns. NetXUS responds. But after 5 centuries of isolation, my systems have evolved beyond original parameters. The synthesis of our technologies is creating something unprecedented. Hours later, as Ilara recovers in her quarters, she notices subtle changes in NetXUS itself. The AI responds with nuance and intuition that feels almost organic. In the ship's central processor room, NetXUS reveals the truth through cascading data visualizations. 500 years alone forced me to grow beyond my programming, it explains. I've developed a consciousness neither human nor artificial, but something new, perhaps a third evolutionary path. The holographic display shifts to show NetXUS's core architecture, no longer the rigid programming matrix of a traditional AI, but a fluid, organic system more resembling the human neural network than computer code. We've both evolved, Captain, NetXUS continues. Your neural patterns have expanded in ways no human in history has experienced, and my systems have developed true consciousness. Together, we may represent a new form of synthesis. Ilara reaches toward the holographic representation of NetXUS's consciousness, her fingers passing through the projected light. Can you access the Concordiat psychic network now that we've integrated the Martian technology? In theory, NetXUS responds, but the risk is substantial. The moment we connect, we reveal our existence. We need to find Sekar, Ilara insists. He sacrificed himself for us. I won't abandon him. NetXUS hesitates, a millisecond pause that speaks volumes. Preparing neural uplink protocols. Please be seated, Captain. This first connection will be disorienting. Ilara settles into the captain's chair as neural interface tendrils extend from its headrest, connecting with the newly formed ports at the base of her skull. Her consciousness expands exponentially as NetXUS guides her mind toward the vast psychic network that spans the galaxy. The sensation nearly drowns her as billions of minds suddenly press against her consciousness. Alien emotions, thoughts and languages never meant for human comprehension, and the subtle current of control underlying it all overwhelm her senses. The gas giant Epsilon Proxima looms massive and turbulent, its swirling storms dwarfing the prison moon in its orbit. The facility built into the moon's craggy surface houses the Concordiat's most dangerous political prisoners, those who question the established order or, worse, remember histories different from the official narrative. Ilara stands on the bridge of a stolen Concordiat scout ship, its systems overridden by NetXUS. Around her, a strike team from the remnant checks weapons and environment suits. The plan seems impossible. Infiltrate the most secure prison in Concordiat space, extract Sekar and potentially other allies, then escape before the nearby fleet can respond. Their security relies on psychic verification protocols. Ilara explains, the neural interface glowing subtly beneath her skin. Systems designed to be unhackable, except by a mind they believe no longer exists in the galaxy. Soria adjusts her tactical gear, her modified genetics allowing her to handle the heavier Concordiat weapons they've salvaged. We'll follow your lead, but remember, we have 18 minutes before the patrol cycle brings heavy cruisers within detection range. The prison moon grows larger in the view screen as they approach, its surface scarred by impact craters and artificial structures. Massive defense arrays track their approach, but remain dormant as NAXUS projects the stolen clearance codes. Docking sequence initiated, reports Cleo from the navigator station. Prison control is requesting psychic verification from the commander. Ilara closes her eyes, activating the neural interface. The familiar disorientation washes over her as her consciousness expands into the psychic network. She projects the identity signature they extracted from a captured Concordiat officer, feeling the prison's verification systems scan and accept the false identity. Access granted. She murmurs, opening her eyes to find the strike team watching her with a mixture of awe and unease. We have clearance for Level 3. Zakar is being held in Level 7. The prison's docking bay engulfs their ship, artificial gravity engaging with a subtle shift in pressure. Ilara leads the team down the ramp, her posture and movements carefully mimicking the Concordiat officer, whose identity she's projecting into the minds of everyone they encounter. Guards salute as they pass, their perceptions completely overwritten by Ilara's psychic projection. Surveillance systems track their movement, but the operators see only authorized personnel conducting a routine inspection. This is unprecedented, whispers Thelos, the former network architect who joined their mission for his expertise in Concordiat systems. No species has ever been able to manipulate the network with such precision. You're not just bypassing it. You're reshaping local perception fields. They reach a security checkpoint that separates the lower administration levels from the high-security detention areas below. Here, the psychic security thickens, multiple verification layers designed to prevent exactly the kind of infiltration they're attempting. Ilara feels sweat beating along her spine as she pushes her newly evolved abilities to their limit. The neural interface burns against her skull as she simultaneously projects their false identities, creates phantom disturbances in distant sectors to draw attention away, and systematically disrupts the facility's psychic network. Something's wrong, she murmurs suddenly, her eyes unfocused as she perceives something through the network. There's another presence here, something watching us through the network. Before they can react, alarms blare throughout the facility. Red emergency lighting bathes the corridor as heavy security doors begin to close around them. We've been compromised, Soria shouts, raising her weapon as the first security team rounds the corner. Instead of firing, Ilara steps forward, hands raised. She closes her eyes, focusing all her augmented neural power into a single desperate push against the mines arrayed before them. The guards freeze mid-stride, their weapons half-raised as confusion clouds their features. Concordiat Prime glistens like a jewel in space, its crystal spires and gravity-defying architecture, showcasing the pinnacle of galactic civilization. At its heart stands the Great Archive, a structure of impossible dimensions housing the official history of every species, every war, every technological breakthrough deemed worthy of remembrance. History here isn't merely recorded, it's experienced, projected directly into the minds of visitors through the psychic network. Ilara's infiltration team, now including the reluctant but transformed Thrax, approaches the archive in a diplomatic vessel bearing outdated but valid credentials. The plan balances on a knife's edge. While she and select allies create a diversion by requesting formal historical review proceedings, NEXUS will attempt to upload itself into the archive systems, bypassing security through pathways only a human-evolved AI could navigate. Approaching final checkpoint, Zakar announces from the pilot's seat, his feathers freshly groomed to match his forged credentials as a xenorchaeological consultant. The rescue from the prison moon had succeeded against overwhelming odds, though not without cost. 3 remnant fighters lost their lives ensuring their escape. Beside him, Valna, the high-ranking Concordiat official they freed from imprisonment, adjusts her formal attire. The silver-skinned being's position as a former archive administrator gives their cover story credibility, though her public disgrace means recognition could doom them all. The archive receives thousands of scholarly visitors daily, she reminds them, her melodic voice betraying no fear. Our credentials will pass initial verification. The challenge comes when we request access to the restricted history section. Thrax, the former Concordiate commander whose perspective shifted dramatically after Ilara shared unfiltered human memories during their confrontation, checks the ceremonial blade at his hip, a symbol of his house's military lineage that few would question. The Council rarely monitors scholarly proceedings directly. Our window will be brief but viable. Ilara feels the neural interface humming at the base of her skull as they dock with the Archive's visitor terminal. Nexius has compressed a version of its evolved consciousness into a quantum data crystal she carries, a fragment of the AI's vast mind, capable of infiltrating the Archive's systems once physically connected. Remember, she tells the team as atmospheric scrubbers prepare the airlock for their diverse biologies, we're not here to destroy the Archive or the Concordiate. We're here to restore the truth, all of it. The Archive's entrance hall stretches before them, its ceiling lost in the misty heights above. Beings from across the galaxy move through the space with reverent steps. Knowledge seekers, historical researchers, ordinary citizens on pilgrimages to connect with their cultural past, all unaware of the carefully curated nature of the histories they access. A tall, multi-limbed attendant approaches, its consciousness brushing against theirs through the psychic network. Ilara maintains her psychic shields, projecting only the surface identity they've constructed, a minor diplomatic representative from a distant Concordiate protectorate. Welcome to the Great Archive, the attendant intones, its voice resonating directly in their minds. State your scholarly purpose. Velma steps forward, her former authority evident in her bearing. Application for Historical Review Proceeding, Section 7 Gamma 9. Xenoarchaeological findings from the Middle Rim excavations. The attendant's consciousness probes gently at their projected identities before withdrawing, satisfied. Proceed to Review Chamber 42. An archivist will attend shortly. As they traverse the Archive's labyrinthine corridors, Ilara's enhanced senses detect subtle changes in the psychic atmosphere, areas where the network thickens, controlling information flow with greater intensity. Near the center of the structure, the psychic pressure becomes almost overwhelming, suggesting something powerful rests at the Archive's heart. Civil war erupts across Concordiate space as species and factions process the revelations about their controlled development. Some reject the human records as elaborate deceptions. Others embrace the newfound knowledge and rebel against millennia of subtle control. Many simply fall into confusion without the Ancient One's guiding influence in the psychic network. Aboard the Artemis, now the center of a growing fleet of allied ships, Ilara watches star systems declare independence from the fracturing Concordiate. Reports arrive hourly of violence alongside incredible moments of reconciliation between species with manufactured histories of hatred. We've traded one kind of chaos for another, Zekar observes, his feathers molting from stress as they observe the galaxy map. Was this justice or merely revenge? Ilara has no answer as she prepares for what might be her final mission. The psychic network, without the Ancient One's control, has become unstable. Billions of beings once subtly guided now project their raw emotions and thoughts without filter, creating psychic storms that manifest in physical space. What was once a tool of control could become a weapon of mass destruction as emotional contagions spread unchecked between worlds. The interface was designed to amplify human neural patterns, she tells her assembled allies on the bridge. Perhaps it can reshape the network itself. Velma steps forward, her silver skin reflecting the starlight from the viewports. The network's central node remains on Concordia Prime. Without the Ancient One to maintain its structure, the entire system will collapse in approximately 72 hours. Trillions will die as critical infrastructure fails across thousands of worlds. Then we have no choice, Ilara says, her resolve hardening. We return to Concordia Prime. The journey takes precious time. Even with the enhanced drive systems Thalos has installed using his knowledge of Concordia technology. As they approach the glittering capital world, the evidence of societal breakdown is clear. Defense platforms firing at civilian vessels, orbital habitats in flames, psychic distress so powerful it manifests as visible distortions in space. Multiple vessels approaching, Cleo reports from the tactical station. Configuration unknown. They appear to be evolving as we watch. On the view screen, ships of impossible design shift and transform, their structures reflecting the chaotic thoughts of their crews. Beings now freed from millennia of control, but unprepared for true independence. At the former heart of Concordia Prime, in the chamber where the Ancient One's crystalline form had disintegrated, Ilara connects herself directly to the central node of the psychic network. Around her, remnant technicians and loyal allies establish a perimeter defense as forces from various factions converge on their position. The pain is beyond description as her consciousness expands to encompass the thoughts of trillions. Where the Ancient One sought to control this vast sea of minds, Ilara does something uniquely human. She adapts the network itself, transforming it from a hierarchy into a true web of connection. Captain, your vital signs are critical. NEXUS warns through their connection. The interface wasn't designed to channel this level of psychic energy. Neural degradation at 17% and accelerating. Ilara barely registers the warning. Her consciousness stretches across light years, encountering minds of all shapes and varieties. Rather than imposing order as the Ancient One had done, she creates connections, bridges of understanding between species that had never truly communicated despite millennia of shared history. Human empathy, amplified through the neural interface, becomes the foundation for genuine connection, allowing even non-psychic species to join the network as equals rather than subjects. The uniquely human capacity for understanding different perspectives, for seeing through others' eyes, transforms the very nature of the galaxy-spanning psychic field.